What's up, guys? Nito here, and welcome back. So this is going to be a day 5 or 6 of the League update on my Fire Tornado Chieftain build. This is my League starter build. Um, I recently dumped a whole bunch of currency into the build, did a lot of gear crafting and stuff, and it is feeling really, really good. And just to comment on Necropolis League, after the buffs, I think everybody knows by now how insane it is, but um, I've been doing some pretty crazy mapping strategies for this build. If you want to see the atlas real quick, this is what I'm working with. It's basically lots of strong boxes, lots of tormented spirits, and we're running Exarch for the altars, and in particular, this node here gives you a chance to spawn tormented spirits when you collect a corpse in your map. And then we're running the scarab that allows you to, if a tormented spirit has possessed a rare mob, there's 25% chance that it gets released when the rare mob dies. So really, there's just going to be spirits running around everywhere in the map, like just touching everything. And then spirits add a bunch of extra quantity and rarity on everything pretty much, and it's really good with the Necropolis League mechanic because a lot of things scale off of the rarity and stuff like that. And then we're also increasing the effect of map modifiers. We're running lots of Scarab stuff, and we're running all of the Strongbox nodes on the tree. And then we're using Strongbox Scarabs to add additional Strongboxes and make them reopenable. Again, that has synergy with the Necropolis League because of the fact that Strongbox mobs are actually considered like base map mobs. So you end up with packs that are haunted inside the box, and then you can open the box multiple times and keep respawning those packs, and they keep dropping more and more loot. So it just gets crazy. I'm going to show you what it looks like right now. And I have been running these Necropolis maps because it's Necropolis League, but also because it's a really good map for density, and then also it's got tight corridors, and it's perfect for Tornado. So, yeah, I'll just show you what it looks like, and it's probably going to get pretty crazy, and, yeah. There's just explosions everywhere because I'm a chieftain, and chieftain explosions are awesome.
I cannot do this yet.
Everything is just ghosted. See all these ghosts flying around. It's crazy. I don't even have anything particularly crazy on this map in terms of the Necropolis mods. If you want to see, it's just some extra rarity, extra quantity, and then more spirits spawned on death from certain packs, which is also fun. So it's not a chaos or divine drop or anything like that. But here's an example. If you, I guess we didn't get any spirits that time, but yeah, there's basically a 50% chance that every time you pick up a corpse, you're going to get an extra spirit to just run around and possess everything. And the build is, as you can see, it's pretty tanky. A lot of these modifiers are very deadly, especially with the ghosts. I have died a lot on this character getting to this point, but it's really starting to feel pretty good now. Well, I'll go over the character after the map, show you what I'm working with. So that's pretty much a full clear of the map. So let's see what we're working with here. So I made the upgrade to Annihilating Light finally. Before this, I was using double replica cold iron points, which give +3 to cold skills, and Tornado of Elemental Turbulence is a fire, cold, and lightning and physical skill, so it actually can benefit from a lot of different plus the skill modifiers. But Annihilating Light is even better because it does triple damage with elemental skills, and of course, as I just said, this is an elemental skill. The downside, though, is that you have 60% reduced elemental resistances, and that's part of the reason I chose Chieftain as my ascendancy, because Chieftain gets these nodes here. So Tesalios gives 50% of your fire res added as cold and lightning res, so it makes it much, much easier to cap your resistances. And you'll see here. Oh, I'm in a... Am I in a minus? Oh, I have minus res from this. I was like, why am I not capped? But yeah, you can see, okay, now you can see I have 90 all res, and I'm over capped, but I have minus 46 fire res right now from the map modifiers. But, yeah, so we are capped fire res, max fire res from Velacos, and the way we do that is by running Purity of Fire, in a +3 ring. You can actually do it with just like a +2 ring if you have a level 21 Purity of Fire. Then we get some extra max fire res on our chest and on our boots. And we're using Circle of Anguish, which gives +1 max fire res while affected by Herald of Ash. And this build is a Fizz to Fire conversion tornado. So Herald of Ash is extremely strong, and we do scale the buff effect of Herald of Ash as well. Partially from this ring, and then we anoint Discord Artisan up here as well. And then, you know, we just do some aura, a little bit of aura scaling to get the Purity of Fire aura effect high enough to get an extra max res from there, and that, and then over here we have +1 and then +2 all max res from Prismatic Skin. And that is enough to bring us all the way up to 90 max res. As far as physical damage reduction goes, we use Call to Arms with Enduring Cry, and we use the War Cries have 10 minimum 10 power mastery, and that lets you just continually gain endurance charges even if there's no enemies nearby. So you're pretty much always going to have endurance charges. And then the War Cry, the buff from Enduring Cry also gives you additional physical resistance per endurance charge. We get a bunch from there, and then you can see I have some armor as well. Again, actually it should be higher than that. I think well, it used to be higher than that. I might have moved some things around, but we have some armor, and then we have armor applies to chaos damage taken, so that's helping with chaos. We use Warning Call, which is giving 25% increased armor per 5 power for 8 seconds when you War Cry. So this is pretty much always going to be up to the maximum 100%. That gives us a bunch of armor. And yeah, that's pretty much the defenses against hits. And then as far as recovery goes, we are using the Forbidden Flesh and Forbidden Flame and taking Untiring from the Juggernaut Ascendancy, which is going to give us 40% increased life recovery, life regeneration rate. And then it's also going to give us additional regeneration per, based on like the physical mitigation of hits that we've had recently, or like in the past 10 seconds, I believe it is. So that's going to give us just a ton of recovery, a ton of life regen. As you can see, I'm running Righteous Fire, have no trouble sustaining that. Plus, you get the burst of healing from Enduring Cry every couple seconds. Turn that off just so it's not super annoying. But yeah, you can see that Enduring Cry is giving like 2,000 life over 1 second every time we do it. And the cooldown time is like just under 4 seconds. So like basically every 4 seconds you get 1 second of just like burst healing, which is pretty nice. And then we have some fire leech on our gloves. And I just spent a whole bunch of currency crafting all my gear, so I can just kind of like show you real quick. But it's pretty straightforward. It's basically you want suppression everywhere, you want fizz taken as fire everywhere, or just fizz taken as Ellie, because all our max res is 90, so it doesn't really matter which element, you just want fizz taken as. And then lots of life, lots of armor. Um, you know, again, suppression, fizz taken as, suppression, and chaos res, and then more suppression, more, max fire res and stuff like that, life, chaos res. And then we are ailment immune, and that is pretty much entirely from this belt. So you have the 56% chance to avoid being shocked, and then the jewel has another 46% chance to avoid being shocked. So that gives us over 100% chance to avoid shock. And then we use Storm Shroud, which is going to make modifiers to chance to avoid being shocked apply to all elemental ailments. So it's just that belt and this jewel together, and you're immune to everything, which is super nice. We're taking Unwavering Stance, so we're stun immune as well. And then the other jewels, we're running both combat focus jewels in order to prevent Tornado from doing cold and lightning. So it's pure fire. Over here, we have Unnatural Instinct, giving just an insane amount of stats for one jewel. You can see that huge list of stuff, but it's basically giving you a bunch of AoE, bunch of cast speed, a bunch of physical damage, spell damage, some regen. Yeah, it's super nice in this spot for pretty much any physical spell build, but especially if they're physical skill or skill effect duration skills, then you just get a little bit extra there, which is super nice. In order to, you can see most of my mana is reserved, and I'm using Purity of Fire, Herald of Ash, Herald of Purity, and Determination. And in order to, sustain the cost, because we really don't have very much mana left, we can take Tireless Cluster right here, which gives you reduced cost of skills. But then you can also do the Life Mastery with skills cost life instead of 30% of the mana cost. So we're spending a little bit of life, but that's kind of negligible. And then it just cuts down the mana cost, so it's much more sustainable. And the nice thing about Tornado is it lasts for like 5 seconds or so. So you really only have to cast it 3 times every 5 seconds. So it's not like a hugely mana intense skill or anything like that. So you just kind of drop it every couple seconds and you're good. And then it kind of just roams around and does its own thing. What else? So we have Fire Mastery, gaining life regen per uncapped fire res. And again, we have a ton of fire res because we're running Purity of Fire and all of that stuff. And this Fire Mastery gives us 100% increased damage with hits against ignited enemies. Obviously, we don't care about the ignite damage because Tornado has fast, small hits, and ignite is all about big, single hits. So the ignite damage is pretty negligible, but it's giving us 100% increased damage with hits, which is great. And just some fizz as extra fire damage here. Magmatic Strikes is more fizz as extra fire damage. Herald of Ash is even more. And then, we just use a physical damage cluster right here just to get some extra armor, fizz damage, and then we run our Forbidden Flesh, Forbidden Flame right there. And then the other thing we have is Lead by Example, which is giving us Onslaught permanently because you get it for 4 seconds every time you Warcry, and as I showed before, my cooldown on Enduring Cry is less than 4 seconds now, so it's just up permanently. You can also see the buff on Enduring Cry lasts for 3.88 seconds, so it's actually essentially up permanently. There is 0.04 seconds where it falls off. In theory, I could probably make it so it's actually up 100% of the time if I had just a tiny bit more skill effect duration. And then the other thing that I just kind of figured out over here is we can use the Impossible Escape Jewel to pick up Blood Magic. But it doesn't actually give us blood magic, but it just lets us allocate nodes around this area. And because we're Warcrying, we can use Natural Authority to make enemies take 8% increased damage, and then also get extra Warcry buff effect. We grab Utmost Might just for some extra strength because we're using Iron Will, so strength is damage and also strength is life. And then we have Settling Ash, which is covering enemies in ash if you haven't moved in the past 2 seconds. So it's just like a little bit of nice extra damage boost because covered in ash gives 20% increased fire damage taken. So that's pretty much the tree we're working with. And ideally, if I get a few more levels, I might try to do an energized armor setup here because I'm already taking these armor nodes, and if I can grab these ones as well and use the energized armor shield to convert these hybrid energy shield armor nodes into just pure armor nodes, it's quite strong. You get a lot of extra armor from that. Flask-wise, I'm just running a Taste of Hate for some extra fizz taken as. The fizz damage extra cold it does do a little bit, but it's not we're not really scaling cold damage at all, so it's not that important. But we're also using replica dragon fangs with +3 to tornadoes, and yeah, that's pretty much everything that's going on, I think. Yeah, I mean, so that's the build right now. I think it's somewhere between like 4 to 5 mil DPS. And so, you know, tornadoes, the DPS doesn't scale that high compared to other skills just because it doesn't scale off cast speed at all. So there's just not that many avenues you can scale it with. But it is really nice in terms of just being able to throw it out. It hits really fast already. You don't have to scale it, like, you don't have to focus on cast speed at all. So you can just kind of focus on defenses, which is what I've done with this build, really. And yeah, it works nicely on Chieftain just because Chieftain doesn't really get any cast speed whatsoever, like anywhere on the tree, at least not in this area of the tree. Pretty much the only cast speed I have is coming from Unnatural Instinct and then our Perma Onslaught. And I think that's actually literally it. So, but you know, it feels pretty good to play. It's not obviously not like the zoomiest build, but like the explosions do kind of carry you a bit. So, yeah, build's been working out great. It's awesome for farming these like super juiced up tier 16 Necropolis, Torment, you know, Strongbox, everything. It's been going great, and I am having a blast with this league so far. And new build soon, hopefully. I just haven't decided what to play yet, so when I do, there will probably be another video. But anyways, thank you for watching, and I will see you next time.